are live. There we go. Andrea Reed, how are you? I am Shane McCarthy, the H2 water expert. We are doing a live recording of an episode between you and I. We're going to have a fun conversation today about birthing and how it's changed over the last 150 years. Now, obviously, there's only so much I'll be able to input in this conversation, but actually, can we pause for 1 second? Just give me 1 second. Hold that there. 1 second, Andrea, sorry. And also, sorry, everyone. The downside of having an office, but also the upside of being
Yeah, no, you're fine. It's going to be a fun conversation.
I'll message you in a bit, okay? Thank you. Okay, so, weird. Actually, interesting way for me to explain this. I just had someone come by and put their fingerprint on there quickly, took 15 seconds, and we scanned his SCS, his skin carotenoid score. So sorry about having to hop out there for a second. Well, okay, so birth, you know.
Well, and you said that, like, having men, being a part of that conversation it's so important. Yes, I hear what you're saying. There's only so much that guys can contribute to it, but there is a very unique point of view that men have. So I'm glad we're having this conversation together.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you having this conversation because I'm looking forward to learning a lot. And now, correct me or explain a little bit more. You have now. Do you want to talk about the guy that you have before or after? Maybe both, because there's going to be some people that are on now and they're hop off late. So what is this guide?
Okay, so you can go into Substack and download for free this incredible PDF. It's over 200 pages long. I printed it out because I go through and I highlight and I take notes for conversations like this. But you don't have to do that. I had it printed at Staples and bound because that's the way my brain works. But you can just have the PDF. But the beautiful thing about it is it's got links in it. So this is called Medicalized Motherhood from First Pill to Permanent Patient. And it basically talks you through the process of women before they even conceive and all the way through the birthing experience and all the way into motherhood, how the medical system has created forever patients with us. It's this moving walkway that the minute you step onto it, once you intervene with nature, you need to continue to intervene all the way through. So anyone that's interested in receiving the link for the free download to be able to empower themselves with this information, I think it's comment motherhood. Is that the keyword we're using? Yeah.
Yes.
So comment that. I'll send you a link to you can download that information for yourself and do your own research. That's the thing. Always do your own research.
Always. That's as someone that talks about a lot of things that require you doing your own research. I mean, don't believe a word I say, research everything that I say. So I mean, what led you down this path?
Well, I thought I was fine. I had a very toxic 20s. I thought I was fine. And I used alcohol and overworking as a way to cope. Anytime pain came up, I just worked harder and powered through. And when I had I was even on the natural health and wellness journey. I was running actually organic food stores in central London in the UK. But I had my first child and a lot of unresolved trauma came up to the surface. I had my first in a hospital and it was a very disempowering experience for me. I had hoped for a natural birth with him. natural is not a word that's like regulated in any way. So people have different views on what
Yeah,
natural means, very much so. So, I
definitely.
mean, there's processed foods in the store that says all natural. It's not.
Yeah,
It's really not. Read the back of the label, not the front of the label. That's my
there you
PSA.
go.
But after having him and coming home, I felt very disempowered. I was broken from the medical system. I grew up in a family where we learned how to heal ourselves naturally. And my mom had a decade-long health illness that she reversed within 3 weeks of finding the right naturopath. So we knew it was possible for the body to heal itself. Give it what it needs. Don't give it what it doesn't need. And the intelligence of the body will course correct most things. But I hadn't looked at it from the emotional standpoint, and I had a lot of unresolved emotions stored in my body,
Hmm.
and physical trauma too. Tailbone falls, I came to learn. I had had 4 of them in my life, and that changes the shape of a person's pelvis. So during the
Okay.
birthing experience, it made it extremely challenging for me to have my baby. And I just thought, oh, I'm just bad at birth. Nobody believed I could do it naturally without medication. There was a lot of fear around it. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, so I researched all the Amazon ratings, safety ratings for everything. I didn't research childbirth, stages of labor. I didn't research breastfeeding. I just thought these are things we're just naturally supposed to know how to do as mammals. We just know how to do these things. I should be fine,
Uh,
and I wasn't. And when I
yeah.
wasn't, I thought there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
So I spent 10 months in this deep, deep, dark hole with only a shovel to keep digging myself in deeper before my mom finally intervened and said, come back to Vancouver Island. She got me in with her Chinese medicine doctor and got some remedies to help correct the hormones. And
Hmm.
I started feeling like a human again, but it really got me on this path we knew we wanted more than one child. And it got me on this path to really learn, like, what happened? Like, why was this so hard? Why was it 7 weeks of excruciating pain breastfeeding? I didn't know about intraoral work with body work and things like that, and that he was tongue tied, and I didn't know anything about any of this. I was a brand new mom, but I was also not being heard by my providers. So I'm having
Hmm.
trouble breastfeeding. Oh, he's fine. You're fine. He's fine. We're not fine. What do we do when we're not
Uh,
fine? I don't know who to go to. So that
yeah.
led me to really researching. I didn't know anyone in the Tulsa area either. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma now for the last 20
Hmm.
years. I'd been traveling for work. I had 5 states as a sales rep. I was never here. So I'm home with a baby. My husband runs restaurants. He's always busy. He's an incredible husband and father. But at the time, he was working very, very hard too, because that's what men do, right? We want to, generalizing, I know, in our family, he was the provider. I decided to stay home. And
Hmm.
what a gift, because I could not function. I would not have been able to work.
Yep.
And he didn't know how to help me. And so that's why I talk about men. It's really important that men are a part of this conversation too, because I hear him coaching other guys, young men, when they're talking about having their first babies. And I'm so proud of him because he's learned so much coming through and seeing our journey together too. But it was very, very challenging. I remember one moment he's folding laundry, and I'm just standing there. I'm a complete mess. It was after my first. Hormones are just out of control, in my opinion, because of the interventions with the medication that I was given. Some of it, I said, that's fine. Some of it, I didn't even know I was given. Once you're hooked up, they just push whatever they want through as protocol.
Hmm.
I signed the papers when I walked into their establishment, and then I became their patient, and they did what they do for people. My system didn't react well to those
Hmm.
medications, and it would have made me a crazy person if I hadn't had a naturopath and a Chinese medicine doctor to help correct it. I would have been medicated for life. I know that for sure.
Wow.
It was crazy. But standing there in the laundry room with him and just seeing how beat down he was, and I was like, please don't leave me. This is not who I am. And like now I can kind of like almost laugh about it, but not really. But it's like that's not who I was. There was like a part of me still inside that was like, I know something's wrong. My favorite quote around this is, you can't see the label from inside the jar. I needed somebody outside of me to reflect back to me what I needed, but nobody around me knew. So me
Gotcha.
and my baby just started going around, and I believe that, I believe in a higher power. I believe in the creator that made us in his image and likeness, and and I believe in the intelligence of the body. And I literally held my 3-month-old, and I was like, and he had issues cranially too. Back of his head was flat. He was having a hard time latching still. And I don't tell people this that often, but here we are. I just held him, and I was like, I don't know what to do. You're going to have to bring someone to me. And that week, I heard 3 different people reference somebody who did cranial sacral work. That week. I'd never heard of cranial sacral work.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I feel that life answers the questions that we ask. And so make him good questions. This is the cosmic Google. Once you refine your question down to what you really need, life will answer the questions you ask. If you're asking, how can it get any worse? Why does this always happen to me? Or what, it's like, okay, life's going to keep giving us answers to that. So make them good questions.
Yeah. I mean, damn, I feel, I was kind of chuckling, but also kind of just also genuinely feeling what you were saying. And I mean, some of it definitely resonates with us. My wife and I were, we had the baby, and it is a big fucking, okay, now what?
Yeah.
So many times we look at our baby, and look on the baby's face is like, I'm not sure you're qualified to be doing this.
Every day. Every day I held them, I was like, how did they let me leave the hospital?
I know, right?
But part of that for me was my journey wasn't empowered in the birthing experience. And I feel like, and again, this could be a generalization, or it could be just from my point of view, it's like the birthing process is an initiation for motherhood. And so the quality of the birth that I had with him was so people doing things to me, being disempowered in the room, being talked about disparagingly in the room while I'm birthing my baby by the medical professionals. Yeah. And like, oh, honey, if you can't handle this, and I'm like, and when, from my experience, when I was pregnant, I was highly sensitive. So anything that people would say around me, I felt like it just sucked into my field. And so I started to doubt myself. So then disempowered, birth happened to me, doubting myself, my baby's born, bring him home, totally disempowered, doubting myself, not knowing I have a mama gut, not knowing to trust my intuition, that this child is given to me, that I'm the best mom that there could be for this child because he chose me, I feel.
I firmly believe that.
I didn't have that empowered feeling like I had with my second. So I went down this road of consuming as much information about natural childbirth as I could. One of the best reference books I found ever is Gentle Birth, Gentle Mothering.
Okay.
And this is by Dr. Sarah Buckley. And she talks about her 4 birthing experiences in here. And the reason this book is so powerful, you can get it at most libraries. You can get it anywhere you buy books. She talks about everything in the birth process that you're going to be told you have to do. And then she says, here's what happens if you don't. And here's what happens if you do. And here's the risks for both. And so it's like an empowering manual for women to have informed consent. Because most providers are not giving us informed consent. They're pushing the direction that is easiest, often. Yeah. Not everybody, but most. Some of the quotes in this Medicalized Motherhood book talk about how hospitals make more money from surgical births.
Interesting.
It's that simple, and it's not pretty to look at.
Oh, that just makes me. It just reminds me of the 2020 era, which or like the 6-year anniversary of that, which is interesting because it. Yeah, I know, right?
We are. Oh my gosh, we are.
6 years.
This month.
Yeah, apparently it was on Friday the 13th, 6 years ago. And so this Friday is Friday the 13th. Maybe we have like a magical switch and like, the craziness ends. No, the craziness. That's will never. And that's what we came here for. Yeah.
Well, the craziness ends when we have conversations and we're ready for them. I had people that were telling me So my oldest was born in 2011. In 2010, when I was pregnant, for the first time, I had people kind of like take books and be like, maybe you want to read this. And I thought I was good. I wasn't ready
Mm,
for it. And
mm,
so there's also, it's an invitation. Like these conversations are an invitation for people who are like, I know I need information, but I don't know what I need, because you can't know what you don't know
yeah.
until you do. And then when you know what you don't know, that's when it gets really fun. You get to research
Yeah.
more too.
I mean, like in the age of information, there's so much information out there that it can be daunting to the point where you're like, it's like, oh no, I'll be fine. But then, you run into issues where, like, my son had issues latching, and so for the first few months, we're pumping and doing all the fun stuff. Like, I did look at formula at one point. I really, really didn't want to go with formula. I'll never forget it was the first night. I went to the grocery store to just get some fruit and stuff, to just get some light food for both of us to rehydrate. And I was, he had been having issues latching. So I went, go and look at the formula. Oh man, the seed oil after whatever, like just garbage as the first ingredients in the ingredients, and I'm like, oh my god, and it's expensive too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh my god,
It's
people
free at the hospital.
Nah, yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Where do they use that? But it can be very daunting, and there's so many different ways of looking at it. And quite honestly, everybody is like, oh, my way. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people that my way is the best way, and then you get judged, and it's just in our case, we've got a 1.5-year-old. Like, we get parenting advice from parents that haven't done it in 40 years. And things have changed. And from just a parent perspective, from older generations, it can look, because there are lots of great resources out there, it can look like it's easier nowadays. And it's like, oh, they'd never be able to raise a kid in my day. And I'm like, I don't know if you'll be able to raise a kid in my day, because it's not as easy as you think. A lot of things that we have to deal with now are a lot more challenging. And screen time is a big, huge one part of it. We're starting to watch our son's brain really start to develop, and like he's really like daily new things are he's doing and saying, and it's crazy to watch. And I'm now seeing the benefits of no screen time, and actually being active there and teaching him and stuff. Like, he reads probably 50 plus books a day, because little tiny books and stuff like that, but he loves to read, and he has zero interest in being on a tablet or watching TV and stuff like that. And then we see parents that like rely on that, and it's I no judgment, I get it, because it's a hard world. I mean, I will say this, there's so much talk about iPad kids, but we should also address iPad parents at the same time, because you see that, and it's just but that's what I mean. There's a lot of challenges that come with everything that we have, but in that same respect, if you like social media, right, it can be used for very good things. Like, we're having a very good conversation that hopefully reaches a lot of people, plants a lot of seeds, and gives people information and peace of mind to know that there's information out there. Dr. Kim Tran is someone that I follow and trust if it comes to eczema, for childhood eczema. There's one account, Building Brilliant Brains, Dr. Stephanie, she's phenomenal. there's everything that you guys are doing with the Human Garage and the kids program there. You know, like it's an interesting. It's almost like that. You know, there is a big split, right? Like there's on one side of things, social media is extremely dangerous for kids and parents, and please understand these dangers. Like I don't post. I'm not posting my kid on social media anymore because it's just like it's unfortunate that it's the world we live in. But you know, family photos will be for family, right? But you know, like I said, there's also so many different things that can help you advance in how we teach and can be there. And this is then how we start ending cycles. You know, and that's something that I'm, you know, it's funny because I was talking to my wife this morning about how like I might take my H2 Water Expert TikTok page and go in a little bit more of a dad parenting direction, because I've now, you know, I've learned some things, and I'm starting to, you know, really. I mean, I've loved being a dad ever since I knew that my wife was pregnant, but it's different now. Now that like I said, that he's advancing in the way that he is, like there's, you know, I feel like there's valuable information that I can give, like today. I mean, this morning was a perfect example. That's kind of how it got brought up. You know, he's freaking out because his mom had to go upstairs and get ready for things that she was doing, and I'm sure he smiled as if you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
And it's just nothing I can do. And I'm like, I mean, your central nervous system's like, yeah, let's go. And
typically men are wired to want to fix things and solve problems. And that's a big thing. Like my husband had that experience too. And he was like, there's nothing I can do to help him. I'm like, don't worry, it'll switch. For 7 years, or you know, they need mom. Second 7 years, they need dad.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So yeah, but that's
I've heard that very.
There's nothing you can do to till mom.
You know, I will say, you know, how you handle it. I mean, it's just even, especially with boys, like how you react to what they're when they fall or whatever. It's just like it depicts. It will determine how they end up reacting. They're just a big mirror, and that's where I'm really seeing a lot of value, is understanding that. You know, now there's certain times where I'll do something myself and I'm like, hold on a second, I'm kind of acting like a baby right now. or I'm kind of acting like my dad right now. Oh, yeah. Okay, interesting.
So because you brought that in, that's the work that I do in helping people to clear generational trauma. We've noticed a trend that as people's children get to the age where maybe a parent, so if I had trauma at a certain age and my child reaches that age, that trauma can come back up and be triggered within me. And it can show up in different ways. When my oldest became school aged around 5, I got really, really anxious and like really, really controlling. And that's when we decided to homeschool. And I was like, oh, I've got to have structure. He's got to sit in a desk. This is how we did it. And my going to school experience was very less than desirable. I wasn't really a good student. I didn't do what I was told. I didn't sit at my desk. I got dragged out in the hallway a lot. I had detention a lot. Go figure. But I'm not saying that's okay, but that's how I handled it. As he got to those ages, I had a lot of anxiety come up within me. And so really what I'm hearing you say is like, with, you know, how do we become conscious as parents? It really is regulating our own nervous systems and handling how we react, because our children, our primary relationships, you know, our partners or spouses, they're going to reflect back to us what we carry. So if somebody is triggering me, even if it's my 1.5-year-old or my husband, it's like it is a gift. It doesn't feel like a gift at the time at all. Nope. Especially when it's a knee-jerk reaction and that heat comes up and it's like tight in my chest. But it's like, this is showing me that I have an area I need to work on. It's showing me I need to go take a walk and drink some water. But it's also showing me that I'm carrying something that's responding to that trigger, because otherwise it wouldn't have triggered me.
So
Well,
I
we can work on it ourselves.
we should work on it ourselves, and I think that's really, again, that's how we end the cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said to my wife, I'm like, yeah, like sometimes I see, because I've had anger issues in the past, and I think a lot of men actually do have anger issues, and I think I'm starting to think maybe it comes from the way parents react to the situations where they're in the heat of it, and you don't react necessarily the way that you would like to have reacted, or and so going back to the trigger thing quickly here, because I wanted to mention it, because I've got a book called Spirit Hacking by Shaman Durek. Really, really good guy, and he made a post about how, like, he's talking to this woman, and her husband would always piss her off and trigger her and stuff. And it's like, honey, you gotta thank him for those triggers, because those triggers are just giving you an opportunity to figure out ways to better yourself, and so all triggers are actually a blessing. I mean, it makes sense. And
it's hard
down,
though when you're in it. Like it's like being in the trenches and telling someone it's a blessing is even though from my point of view it is, having been in the trenches most of my life, coming out of them, being back in them again, and it's like there has to be, sometimes you need someone to help lift up. That's why community is so powerful, because it's like, if I'm in it and this person I'm engaging with is also in it, it's like, how do we step out of that in order to have the perspective to be able to realize, okay, this is my wounded child that's reacting to this. This is my argument with my dad that's coming out with my husband. This is, how I felt as a child that's coming up. One of the interesting ones that keeps coming to mind right now is, how come you get to be so free? That was a pattern that came up for me. We wanted to raise our children differently than my husband and I. We love our parents. I feel like most parents, all parents that we're talking about here, are just trying to do the best they can. And if your toolbox is empty, or if it's full of rusty tools that were passed down from generations that never worked anyway, you can only do so much with the toolbox you have. And so this is not a criticism on anybody at all by any means, because there's a million things that I've screwed up. And, that's part of the human experience. But sometimes we just need a safe place or a pause or practice that can help us just get out of that. Because if somebody wasn't shown a healthy expression of anger as a child, if anger was unsafe, or if emotions were pushed down, bottled up until it explodes out, if that's the pattern that was established, that's just how you learn to respond in a relationship, until you don't, until you change that. So I've got a friend who says, it's hard to tell someone to recycle if your arm's on fire. And it's like, we just got to put the fire out in a very, very simple way in order to be able to take that step back. And that's where, hydration, right? The human garage mantra. It's hydration, it's functional movement, it's time in nature, it's time in community, mineralizing your body.
Go back to the basics. Go back to the basics. Like, we have been so programmed and indoctrinated to be busy. You know how many people like can't sit alone in silence at all? At all? How quickly are you reaching to your phone and like, this is all, it's all part of the programming indoctrination that keeps us. They're distractions, which is to take us off track from achieving our goal of ending these cycles. And that's what we came here to do. That's what we are doing. It is very beautiful. Although it's messy as F. but that's part of the beauty, right? Darkness before dawn and stuff like that. And I want to say,
birth is messy.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect way of looking at it. That's a great viewpoint, because it is. Yeah, it's messy, it's painful, and after is just as confusing. And I think, quite honestly, we're in the after part.
Yes.
We just are still in a very confused state that we don't know that. And it's interesting, especially how deep you want to go into, like, where your worldviews and what's actually going on and stuff like that. I think it's more of a control over energy portals that are in our, like, in and around our planet. And I do see a very big shift coming for all of us in a very positive way, but I am the apocalyptimist. So you know
that.
I know, right? I'm very optimistic about the outlook.
Apocalypse actually, doesn't that mean rebirth?
In one meaning of it, it is also the Greek meaning of it is the unveiling of the truth. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it is, having these conversations, communicating to our community about where we've been. So you stop looking at the apocalypse as, oh no, it's the end of the world, to, oh, hey, yeah, it's the end of the world. Like, it's like, yeah, okay, that world sucked. Once you realize, more importantly, once you realize where we're going, it's that much better. But I mean, it's messy, right? It's a messy process. It's very similar to, I refer to it as a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, very limited to being able to fly freely, but that caterpillar does have to go into a cocoon and die to become the butterfly.
And we're so free. We're so programmed. I say we. So speaking from my point of view, mm-hmm. Society in general is so programmed from pre-birth, through the birthing experience, through the education experience, into the workforce and the cubicle experience. School essentially was set up in a way to create good factory workers who respond to a bell. And so the programming of listening to outside of yourself is instilled, because I said so, is instilled so early on that, we don't remember how free we are. And then you come through to this place where it's like, truly, okay, we've come from the age of information, I believe, to this age of overwhelm, where there's mm-hmm. so much, you almost need to narrow it, get super narrowed down into the specifics. Like, what do I actually need? I need to regulate my nervous system, hydrate my body, and be in community. And let everything else go. But we're so free that we can even choose to be, disempowered. And no person, you ask anybody, I would imagine there's nobody that's going to say, oh, I would choose to be disempowered. Nobody's going to want to say that. And yet the price that comes with being empowered, or remembering that we are empowered, is personal responsibility. And sometimes that's scary, because if it's someone else's fault, I don't have to take the blame for it. So the good news is also the bad news, which is also the good news, is like, it's all an inside job. The outside is reflecting everything that's inside, and we have complete control over whether we hang on to this stuff or not. And I don't even need to be able to have a conversation with XYZ person who's no longer my life or no longer on this planet in order to heal that relationship. It's all an inside job and a projection out from my point of view, in my humble opinion. So when you realize that, and you crack the door open a little bit for someone, and they're like, oh, like, it's overwhelming. It's like the bottom drops out.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want? It's that, what is that, the Notebook? I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. Well, tell me what you don't want. List 10 things that you do not want. Now take those 10 things, put them into a positive. It sounds so simple. The really cool things usually are really, really simple. Then write that list. I don't want to be in debt anymore. Great. I want to be wildly abundant in order to spend whatever I want without ever having to look at my bank balance. Oh, sure, Andrea. I'm like, trust me, it is that simple. It's that simple. We can create whatever we want.
You can't blame your circumstances when you're the one holding the paintbrush.
There are
We
economic issues. There are, born into poverty.
always,
There's all these different circumstances that people can say, well, that's easy for you, you know, in the United States, you're a white woman, you're a this, you're a that, it's easy for
oh
you.
yeah,
I promise you, no matter what your situation is, you will find in history or in the modern world an example of somebody in your situation that has risen above. Why don't we
yep.
have more examples of that? That's a great question, because I bet there's lots of people in these different circumstances that have risen up, but they're just not being talked about for a very good reason.
Yeah, they're not being talked about, and we're too distracted by this and that and this and that to talk about it with, to communicate with your community about those things and celebrate those things. We don't celebrate big things like that, and so I mean, to build everything back up, we do need to bring it back to basics, and this is why I love so much about how we connected, what is happening with Human Garage as a big macro community that has so many little micro communities coming up. See, like you could look at the world and see the parasitic entities that were in control. There's the opposite of that is happening in such a rapid rate that is so beautiful when you look at it.
Yes.
Like it would be like the macro community, the micro, that's like an anti-parasite. Like it's going and it's not, and it's the light to the darkness. And so what you are doing, Andrea, with Andrea Reed Wellness, is you're in the Oklahoma area. You have classes coming up, and you have sessions coming up that people local to you can come to you. And obviously, if you aren't local to Andrea, take this as an opportunity or just a nudge to let you know that these things are happening, and hey, they might be happening in your area, and take a look. And if they're not, maybe this is your calling to start things like this in your area.
Yeah. So like I was telling you a little earlier, I'm just jumping in. I'm going for it. The conversation we were having earlier. So I started a nonprofit in 2010 called Oklahoma Center for Wellness. And the vision is to build a wellness center. We found our property. We're working with that right now, to build a wellness center on a large piece of land here so people can come and, reset their nervous systems, learn how to grow, consume, and enjoy nutrient-dense foods and heal in communities so they can thrive. We want to move beyond healing into a place of thriving. I heard Gary say from Human Garage, when we focus on healing, we get more opportunities to heal. And I was like, after a car accident, after a tooth injury, after breaking my arm, and I'm like, what is going on? And I can't unhear that now. So now we move through healing to thriving. And so we're building this wellness center here because I already saw when I was living in the UK for 7 years that the systems are not, first of all, set up for us to benefit us, and they're not sustainable. So I lived in a city at the time that was 30 million people, 3 million people in a 30-mile radius. That was insane. It's even busier over there now. Yeah, you eat a lot of garlic in the winter when you go on the underground. It's crazy there. So if the systems aren't sustainable, and eventually they're going to crack at the seams. Well, we're in it now. We're coming through that right now. We're seeing it actually happening. What do we do to build a platform, to build new systems, and a place for people to come to where that drop isn't as harsh? Education, healthcare, true wellness care, our food system, the pharmaceutical medical thing, bringing that into true naturopathic, holistic, homeopathic remedies, that kind of stuff. This is not, I don't bash anything. That might always be going on. That's not my jam. We're over here building our own lane. And if that interests you, you can come over here and see what we're doing, because the model we're setting up will be duplicated in other states. That was our conversation earlier today, in a variety of different states where we can bring holistic wellness events to other communities. And we've got our 7th annual event this year. But also bringing this model of wellness centers to other communities. So I appreciate the shout out for my personal business. I do treat people here locally, and I do virtual sessions, but also our larger vision is bringing together We've got about 400 holistic practitioners and natural health and wellness business owners in the state of Oklahoma in our network. And
Wow.
the comment was made to me, if you can do this in Oklahoma, you can do this anywhere. I'm like, that's exactly the plan.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And
If this is something that you want to see happening in your city, Andrea is the one to reach out to. And you know, we've kind of gone all over the place with this, as we always do.
It's great.
You know, and I'm going to be posting this on my H2 Health and Hydration podcast on YouTube. You know, I can speak from my wife's experience that being properly hydrated was a big had a big impact in her, not only pregnancy but post pregnancy.
Yep.
When we did get the breastfeeding and everything figured out, because we actually had to hire a breastfeeding consultant and stuff, like things that you would never think that you would need to do, but hey,
Yep.
It doesn't just come naturally to everyone, and then, you know, some things come naturally to some and to others they don't, and vice versa, and that's just,
and there's reasons for it. There's functional physiological reasons for it.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not a failure as a woman if you can't do these things.
Yeah,
there's reasons why.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you know, going within that is the place to find them, as you mentioned so beautifully earlier. And you know, the same do go for the fathers out there, and I do want to give a nudge to fathers out there to make sure that you're taking care of that central nervous system, so that you can be the best father and husband to your family. Because quite honestly, in the first at least 6 months, the best way for you to be a good father is to be a good husband and make sure that mama's taken care of, and, you know, maybe take care of a little bit more, like, definitely not maybe, but take care of the cooking and tidying up and stuff like that. She's doing her job, and it's not just a job. It is, you know, it's a 24/7 nonstop job that is so weird, because they can stress you out to the most intense levels, but then as soon as you put them to bed, you're like looking at photos and videos, and you miss them immediately. Like, it's a weird thing. It is,
and it doesn't change when they're 11 and 15 either. Still, I
don't see that going away. Yeah, I don't see that going away at all. I think it's just gonna get, you know, if any of this funny, the fever is coming back for my wife now, and I get it, because he is just so freaking cute, and you get to, you know, it's such a blessing to have gone down this path, and to be able to, you know, I used to look at it, and it's funny, again, perspective. I used to think, like, there was a point where it's like, oh, I don't want to have kids because I don't want to bring them into this world. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and then it's like, oh, I brought you into this world. And it's like, hey, I brought you into this world. Right. And how, like, being able to change that, just these little shifts can, I think, really have a big impact in your kid's overall life.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people look at it, oh, the first 3 years don't matter. I think they matter the most.
Oh, those are foundational.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely foundational. The first 10 years, their nervous system is still, in the first 10 years of life, a child's nervous system is still developing. And so whatever is the normal baseline in the home becomes normal for that nervous system later in life. So if the home is chaotic and no judgment, sometimes people have a lot of chaos inside. They can be trying to normalize everything for the children, but kids pick up on, you know, kids and animals, they pick up on unspoken things. If there's stress and chaos in the family in the first 10 years, that nervous system Well, look for stress and chaos later in life as a baseline. That's what feels safe.
Yeah.
So if somebody shows up really calm and regulated, and that person, okay, talking about myself, that person hasn't done the work, it's like the calm and regulated person is like a turnoff. It's like, oh, you're not chaos, and I'm used to chaos. So this is not a match.
Yeah. But, and we do need to wrap things up for time purposes. But as per usual, need to schedule another one because I love our chats.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do want to remind people of a beautiful thing called epigenetics. It is the scientific way of saying we can change the cycles. We can change. You can't change your past per se, but you can change how you look at your past. You can change how you the emotions that your past causes or generates. You can change what you think of the past, and that very much will reflect what is happening in your real life, and that gets reflected onto your kids. And so however you need to do it, whether it is breath work, cold showers, cold dips, saunas, PMF mats, grounding mats, fascial maneuvers, hydrogen water, get to work on that central nervous system, calm that stuff down. It's not, and don't like, oh, I have to do those things. Oh, I get to do those things. It's a gift. It's a gift to yourself, to your family, to the planet. It truly, truly is. If you don't believe me, look up the Maharishi effect. It's for the people. I am so grateful for you, Andrea, the whole Human Garage community, all of the different healing communities that are out there that are working on themselves, because as you work on yourselves, as we work on ourselves, we work on the whole planet. We are both a drop in the ocean and the ocean at the same time.
Yep.
Understand that there's a lot of power in that, and it's a beautiful thing, and this is what we came here to realize, and this is how we end those cycles. So again, comment if you're watching the replay of this as we're going to be wrapping this up. Comment motherhood, and Andrea will send you the link to download her free guide. We will definitely be doing this medicalized motherhood. I love that there's just a 200-page guide on that. You can also mention there's a whole bunch of other.
I didn't write it, I have to say. Yeah, I'll
yeah.
give credit to the author. Yeah, it's not my guide, but it's absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Andrea. I really appreciate this. This is great.
Thank you so much. I love this conversation.
Absolutely. Until next time, I remind you that if you don't filter your water, you become the filter for your water. We barely even talk water. I don't even know why I said that. It's just like kind of like auto.
It's important.
It is. No, very important conversation. It's just it didn't really align with what we talked about. It was just kind of like autopilot there. It's funny
I
how
love
that
it.
works.
Well, let's talk water in our next one, because I had hydrogen water with my second birth and not with my first. So that was
Okay.
the game.
Part 2 will be H2 health and hydration, changing the way we look at hydration and birthing. There we go. I love it. Thanks, Andrea.
Bye.
Appreciate
Thank you.
All right. Bye.